Wrestling with wrestling's past and present.
How old were you?
I was -3.
See, JR is trying to contain Jim Ross.
McFlurry,
It's Mick Foley. Definitely not his, the barn burner that we've cast the entire rally sing was, but, we'll leave that there.
We digress.
God, I hope that storyline ends soon.
And 6 to 8 weeks later, they mail you a freaking magnet.
Yep. You may know him as the Red Rooster.
Hager kept making out with his wife. It was weird. So then, I'm waiting for them to put the Selena Vega on a pole match for that to be. It is in the mail, my good sir. Oh, it wasn't. Paul. Giving us a reason to come here and listen to ourselves talk.
Absolutely,
and then you can listen to us too. We're off to a rough start.
This is Wrestling with Wrestling's Past and Present. I'm Tim Kurt.
And I'm Mongo.
And today we are talking about Armageddon 1999. But before we get into it, we want to send our best wishes again to our buddy Roland. He's still recovering here. And hopefully he'll be back doing this podcast real soon.
We hope to see you back, buddy. We miss you. We love you.
Absolutely. So Armageddon 1999 took place about 21 years ago. This is the significance of this pay-per-view is the start of the McMahon-Helmsley era, which we'll get into when we talk about our main event today. But I remember this one, and it's hard to believe it's been 21 years since this took place.
I know. I just seeing 1999, I'm like, oh, that was like 6 years ago. And it's like, no, it's 21 years ago. I'm officially old now.
Yeah.
I remember ordering this pay-per-view. I actually watched this one live because I wanted to see Triple H versus McMahon. As sad as that sounds, I wanted to see that match.
Yeah, I mean, I was always invested into the Mr. McMahon character as a kid. As he's a face here, but as a heel too, I was always kind of just fascinated by that. So any match that he was in, I kind of wanted to watch.
Yeah, this was the legit height of the Attitude Era. This was the peak. This is when they were their best. The storylines. Everything about 1999 to me. 1999-2001 was probably their best era for Attitude Era. Unfortunately, Steve Austin being out at this one because the previous month he was run over, as we later found by Rikishi and The Rock for his neck injury. But so I think they still put together a pretty decent show without one of their top stars.
Yeah, I agree, absolutely. So let's get right into it. You did have one match on Heat, which was Al Snow with Head getting a win over Test. Not sure how long that match was, but probably pretty short since it was on Heat. This match, I don't know, it probably wasn't the greatest match in the world.
It definitely wasn't. And it's really weird that Test essentially started this Triple H versus McMahon angle with Stephanie. Test was getting the whole, it's a wrestling wedding, so you never know what's going to happen, except everything happens, because we all know.
Yep.
Test is marrying Stephanie, Triple H is going through the little Whitechapel in Vegas, and, Test in his suit, hair up and everything like that, and he gets the shock that Triple H married Stephanie while she was passed out for the bachelorette party, and now he's relegated to the pre-show with Al Snow, so I'm not really sure what happened, if, Test had backstage heat, or just he didn't get over, but I thought Test was a halfway decent wrestler. I just don't think he ever was utilized to his strengths.
Yeah, I agree. I think they kind of underutilized him a little bit. And yeah, it is a little weird that he wasn't involved in the main show, especially where he was centered around the main storyline.
And I think it was a short match on Heat from what I remember. I think it was one of those ones like, buy the pay-per-view now. And they kind of just went to the ring and then went right back. And then Michael Cole doing his please buy it for $49.99 or whatever the price was back in the day, which I can't believe we paid $50 for pay-per-views.
Yes. Yeah, the pay-per-view industry's come a long way since then.
Thank God.
Yes, absolutely. So we kick off the actual pay-per-view with a tag team battle royal to determine the number one contenders for the WWF Tag Team Championship, which would take place at the Royal Rumble. You have the Acolytes here getting a win over the Hardy Boys. Let's see who else was involved here. You had the Godfather, Mark Henry, the Headbangers, Edge and Christian, the Dudley Boys, the Mean Street Posse, and Too Cool were the other participants. It took place in about 11 minutes. I thought this was kind of a weird way to start the show because there's no pure wrestling or anything like that in a battle royal. And
Yeah,
so
it's all spots and who's getting thrown over and teasing certain feuds. The one thing that was memorable before and after was Bubba Ray Dudley coming out in their awful ECW tie-dye.
Yes.
Come to the company, doing that weird stuttering gimmick, which I never really understood.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you see how evolved Bully Ray is today and how evolved the Dudleys would become. I never understood the stuttering gimmick. And then can we talk about the headbangers, their weird lingerie? I forgot all about that with their bras. And
Yeah.
I'm a big headbangers mark like you, but I forgot all about that, probably for good reason.
Yep. I did too. And then you had the Godfather, and Mark Henry being sexual chocolate at this point and stuff like that. I mean, but yeah, I mean, the Acolytes, they're just coming. I believe they're just coming off the Ministry of Darkness gimmick here. If
yeah, this is right before the APA, I believe.
Right before the APA, yeah.
The weird symbols on their chest that they wrote in there.
And I always liked the Mean Street Posse for some reason. I have no idea why. Just because I've always been a Shane McMahon fan as well, and I know they're obviously the associates of Shane McMahon. So I thought it was pretty cool to go back in time and watch Pete Gas and Rodney and Joey Abs got involved in this match as well.
It was. And seeing those sweater vests, you remember they were the preppies. And I think that's why they were not so much over, but I think that's why people liked them is you wanted to see those preppies get their butt kicked. Because I'm not ashamed of it. I was a hardcore nerd. I've always been a nerd. So to me, the preppies are the ones that picked on me. So when I saw preppies getting beat up or those sweater vests, Abercrombie people getting thrown over the top rope, you cheer a little bit harder than you normally would cheer.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, I thought it was I think the spot at the end where Jeff just launched himself over the top rope and they were hanging on was pretty fun. He cleared that thing. I think that teased, what he was going to do in the future. And it really, I think, set up that Dudley Boys and Edge and Christian and Hardy Boys feud. They kind of teased some of the spots in there. Like, they were kind of planting the seeds to see if it would work. And so I think that's what made me enjoy the Battle Royal. It's like, this is before they had their feud. They were kind of feeling themselves out because you got the Hardy Boys with those weird mesh shirts and black pants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this will definitely set up, this is pre-TLC era, the TLC matches and all that stuff. So yeah, definitely kind of set that up in the future.
And go figure 2 shows in a row where you get to watch Mark Henry and D'Lo Brown and Headbangers. And who would have thought we would have 2 shows in a row about them?
Yep, absolutely. Next up is Kurt Angle getting a win over Steve Blackman in just under 7 minutes. I wish this one went a little bit longer. I thought these two had the potential maybe to put on a pretty good match here. Steve Blackman, the martial arts specialist that he is, and Kurt Angle, his full heel Olympic gimmick going on. This is early Kurt Angle, the 3 eyes. So I thought this one was good, but I wish it went a little bit longer.
I was gonna say, I think this is pretty much like a month or 2 after he debuted, because this is pretty fresh Kurt Angle, and I like the pre-interview where he was showing his cockiness, like you said, the 3 eyes. He was showing his character, he was developing his gimmick, and even in the match, he wins with the basic German suplex.
Yeah,
something that everyone does now. Brock Lesnar does 10 times in a match, and then he celebrates like he just won the world title. That's something that stuck out to me. He's over the top celebrating until Blackman gets a little retaliation at the end. But yeah, it was definitely a fun match. I agree. It should have been a little longer. Again, like we said last time, Steve Blackman just has no personality in his face, so I think that's why he never really got the green light to go longer. But he could go, and him and Kurt put on a fun match. It was a shame it was only a few minutes, but it was fun. Even the storytelling of the match, Kurt Angle getting overexcited, Steve Blackman attacking him, and I mean, just he recreated that Olympic when he won the medal, dropping to his knees. It was fun. I thought it was a good match.
Yeah, I did too. It was definitely entertaining. I think we both agreed, could have gone a couple minutes longer.
Yes.
Yep. Next up is probably the greatest match of all times. It's the evening gown pool match for the women's championship, which you probably could not get away with an evening gown pool match today.
No, definitely not. I'm pretty sure they had a gravy match or something pretty close to it, kind of set it up.
I think they did too, yeah.
Because I remember Thanksgiving, they always did those weird little shticks on SmackDown where they would have food fights or gravy bowl matches. And I remember King saying something about gravy in the commentary, which... Can we just point out that King's commentary, this was Jerry the King Lawler is best. His pervertness, everything is about him it was Jerry the King Lawler. And just his little comments that, again, like you said, could not get away with today, because those comments, right at the Me Too movement, everything, he'd be taken right off TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a short match too. What does it say? Like not even 3 minutes.
Not even 3 minutes, which is good. You can't have this match go very long.
It was for the title, which I forgot. I can't believe it was for the title. Poor Ivory to lose a strap that way.
Yeah, it kind of it's kind of nice to go back in time and just see, like, that's how they value the women's championship back then. It was defended in a pool match, evening out pool match. Now, just yesterday, it was the main event of SmackDown. So we've come so far in 21 years with the evolution of women's wrestling.
And I'm glad it has, just because I feel bad for Ivory and Jacqueline. I mean, they should have gotten their Hall of Fame rings just for putting up with BB and Miss Kitty. Cause, I mean, let's be real. The only two wrestlers in that were Ivory and Jacqueline. And I kind of felt bad because Jacqueline, as we said last week, is a great wrestler. Ivory's definitely a legend of the ring. And then BB, who was only there for a few months, I think she was a paramedic for a while. I do remember, because I was a huge Stone Cold mark, so I remember the Survivor Series when he got hit by the car. I do remember her being the EMT there, and I think that's kind of how she got introduced. And unfortunately, she was really only valued for, let's just say, her assets.
Yep. And then Miss Kitty was, I believe, she was married to Jerry Lawler at the time of this pay-per-view.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I mean, we always have to talk about the infamous spot where, she takes her dress off and she's, wearing her bra and panties. She decides to flash the crowd, and then you have Slaughter coming in with a towel. But I remember hearing Conrad say that Slaughter was a little bit too late, that I think he was supposed to come out sooner, because I think he was supposed to stop from her from showing anything. So I think that's why there was that quick wraparound, because I don't think he knew the timing or what's going on.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, then Mae Young saying, "Well, it's my turn." Thank God they saved that one. I don't think anyone want to see that, because unfortunately, I think the next month of the Rumble we had to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, we should mention, the Fabulous Moolah and Mae Young were the special guest referees of this match, which is a match that doesn't need a referee at all, really.
Definitely didn't age well. I mean, WWF, I think, even censored it out. It just, even back then, it didn't make sense to me. Like, I was a 13-year-old kid at the time, so I'm sure I was more excited, but still, it did nothing. Because I was always a pure wrestling guy. Like, I mean, hate to say it, but you had magazines and internet for a reason. I didn't need to see women like that. I like to see the actual wrestling. So I love the women's revolution today. I think that's what wrestling should be. It should be equity and not, brown panties match, evening gown matches. I was never a fan of these type of matches.
Yeah, no, same here. Moving along, we have a tag team match. We have the Hollies, Hardcore Holly and Crash Holly, getting a win over Rikishi and Viscera. That is a tag team that I forgot about.
I think we all did, because I'm pretty sure if you listen to the Kevin Kelly interview, which really weird to see Kevin Kelly again, he basically sounded like they only teamed up because they were fat. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not quite sure the reasoning behind that, but again, I think that's why it was forgettable.
Yeah, this is kind of a filler match here, a let me up match, as you might describe it. They teased the tension between Rikishi and Viscera throughout the whole match. But yeah, this one just kind of there for me.
Yeah, his promo before too, Rikishi just wasn't good on the mic. Unfortunately, he was good in the ring. He was entertaining, but this match definitely fell. I feel bad because I love Crash Holly. I'm sad that we lost him. I like Hardcore Holly. I thought they were fun together. This match, just like you said, it didn't work. It was definitely, this match was time to get up and refill the drink, refill the popcorn, go to the bathroom.
Yep, absolutely. Next up was a triple threat match for the European Championship. The British Bulldog here is the champion. And this is Gene's British Bulldog here. We've come a long way from when we, on our anniversary show, we talked about his match with Bret Hart at SummerSlam. We've come a long way since then.
I know. I feel that. I feel like this match, it just seems so thrown together. I mean, Val Venus and D'Lo Brown and the British Bulldog, that the booking, even now, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And then one little side note I noticed, they mentioned that D'Lo Brown, when he came out, was the only man to hold the Intercontinental and European Champion in WWF history. completely forgetting about Jeff Jarrett, who just left 3 months ago in a very bad way. So it's almost like this is when Vince started his revisionist history, because Jeff Jarrett held the IC and European title together, and they completely ignored that. So he became persona non grata right away. And actually, I read JR's new book, and he mentions that it's basically because Vince felt betrayed because he held him to gunpoint, essentially, and said, I'm not doing No Mercy, dropping the IC title to China without a buttload of money because, JR let his contract expire. And then the whole controversy of him going back to WCW. So you could tell that Vince was upset, and they scrubbed history right away. So one of the first instances I've noticed, I was like, oh, wow. Because I like Jeff Jarrett, so I was like, wait a minute, he helped both.
Yeah. And then Kurt Angle will eventually do it later on too. But yeah, I thought the match was actually okay. It did feel very thrown together. I was a little surprised that they put the belt on Val. A little surprised there, but I thought this is better than I thought it was going to be when I first read that this was on the card.
Same. I didn't really remember it. It's sad. It's sad, especially with British Bulldog being in it, that I remember it. But I thought it was going to be D'Lo Brown because I purposely didn't watch or read who was going to win at first, just so I could try to see if I could guess it from booking. I thought they were going to give D'Lo Brown, because I always felt like the European Championship from like the '99 era to 2002 was like D'Lo Brown's championship.
Mm-hmm.
But it was weird. Val Venus going over, doing the little shtick of going to Europe to essentially lay claim to his championship and territory, to say it. Yeah, it was a fun match. Just like you said, very weird, very thrown together.
Yeah. Next up is a steel cage match. You have Kane with Tori getting a win over X-Pac in about a little over 8 minutes here. They have a storyline here. Tori is Kane's girlfriend. There was a funny line in this match where Jerry Lawler keeps doing sexual innuendos, and JR goes, stop with the penis innuendos. And the King goes, you said penis. So it's very juvenile. That's what I took. That's what I remember most about this match, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was going to say the commentary was definitely solid for this one, because the match was not really memorable. Stands a few spots, X-Pac getting on Kane's shoulders, and New Age Outlaw interference, but it was a typical match where we knew Kane was going over, and I forgot about Tori. I feel like a horrible wrestling fan. I completely forgot she existed for a while, and I met her. I went back through some of my pictures. Yeah, my buddy Glenn and I met John Cena years and years ago when he was U.S. champion, and she was there. And she kind of leaned into the picture and said hi to us. Again, forgot she existed more than once in my life. I feel bad because she seems like a sweet person.
Yeah. Yeah, we should mention there was a couple of stipulations. X-Pac could win by pinfall or escaping the cage. Kane just had to win by pinfall. So that's why you saw Kane go out, out the door throughout the match and stuff like that. So there was some, different stipulations. But yeah, I think like you said, I think the commentary was the most notable part of this match.
It's funny too, because I feel like X-Pac he's always just kind of there.
Mm-hmm.
And then this was Kane kind of finding his footing. This was before he kind of really had the good feuds with Taker, because he had the 97-98 feud, and I feel like they just didn't know what to do with Kane at the time, which is a shame, because as we know, Kane became one of the greatest wrestlers in WWF and WB history. So I don't know what their logic was, if they were trying to do a lovers quarrel. It just felt weird to me. Like you said, the commentary was definitely the best part. It made me chuckle when he said, "You said penis." Like you said, that was absolutely hilarious.
Yes.
34 years old and I'm still laughing at penis jokes.
Yep. I'm still laughing at them too. Next up is a singles match for the Intercontinental Championship. You have Chris Jericho getting a win over China with Miss Kitty here by submission in just over 10 minutes. Not sure if you can do this type of match today.
Yeah, I definitely don't think so. I mean, this was, as we talked about earlier, China had won the IC title from Jeff Jarrett at No Mercy in October in that awful Good Housekeeping match.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember a little bit of a feud, I think, on SmackDown between Jericho and China. I'm surprised they went 10 minutes because China looks very green in the ring from what I saw in this match. Jericho definitely helped carry her and made it better than I thought it would be, and then winning with the walls of Jericho obviously was fitting. And I think Jericho going over was the right call. I mean, he had just debuted that summer, so this is him kind of finding a stride. and with Stone Cold out, you could tell they were trying to find that third or fourth guy because they have The Rock as number one now, but as we see later, Triple H will be number two. But who's that third guy that's going to kind of help carry that mid card? And I think this was the right decision by having Jericho go over. But like you said, this match definitely didn't age well, and I don't think it could really go over too much today because intergender is a lot different than this match presented.
Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely better. I mean, I'm going to give China credit. I thought she did, a pretty decent job. Like you said, she's still green in the ring. But I kind of agree with everything you said. I think having Chris go over was the right call. He just debuted that year for WWF. But yeah, it was better than I thought it would be. But yeah, like you said, it just doesn't age well today.
And they have some pretty good intergender matches. If any of the listeners are curious, just check out YouTube. Check out some of the different wrestling companies out there. There's a lot of good intergender matches. It can be done very well, as long as the story is done well. And I think that's the problem with this match is they had a halfway decent story, but it just kind of felt rushed. Like they just wanted to take the title off China, which it didn't make sense. It's like, why'd you give her the title just to take it off of her? So I think that's what kind of hurt the match a little bit. But like you said, yes, China did really well for being green, and it's not a shot at her because as we see, later on in the next couple of years, she got better and better and became a very dominant force in the WWF, WWE.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Next up is a tag team match for the tag team championships. You have The Rock and Sock Connection. Obviously, that's Mankind and The Rock. Getting a win over the New Age Outlaws in about 16 and a half minutes. This one is just really entertaining for me. I'm a fan of both teams, so when I'm a fan of both teams like this, I guess the quality of the match kind of goes out the window for me. Like, I don't care about the quality of the match as much. I'm just entertained by the participants in the ring, and that's kind of what I fell in line with this one.
No, I would definitely agree with that. I'm a huge New Age Outlaws DX fan, huge Rock and Sock, huge Mankind fan, as people probably know.
Just listen to the outro of the show.
Yeah, right. And just seeing how over The Rock was, it's crazy because I forgot in '99 how nuclear he was over. Just mega pop when he came out. And I know it's Florida, so that probably helps because it's his home state. But even when he got the tag from Mankind, the crowd erupted. And the DQ decision was a little interesting, but I'm wondering if I just don't think they wanted to give the straps to Mankind and The Rock yet, because maybe I obviously had more plans for The Rock, and they didn't want the New Age Outlaws to kind of look weak. So it was kind of a weird booking decision, but like you said, it was a fun match overall. I look over any of the sloppiness because Billy Gunn, Road Dogg, they had some fun spots. Rock and Mankind, they clearly were having fun in the ring. The mannerisms of The Rock, his facial expressions were killing me in this match.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And the commentary didn't bury anyone, which was nice. They were trying to put both teams over, which I really appreciated because it seemed a lot in the Attitude Era that one guy would get completely buried in commentary and one guy would get completely pushed up. So it was nice that they weren't really burying them. They were just kind of telling the story of the match.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I mean, but yeah, this is a fun one to go back and watch. Just, brings back a whole lot of memories from this era.
Yes. And the Rock and Sock are definitely a fun tag team. If people have never seen their matches, they're not a Hall of Fame tag team together, synced by themselves, obviously together, no, but they were fun together, and that's what made it work because they had chemistry because they were just completely opposites. And The Rock just always sold it with his mannerisms and Mick Foley's sweet innocence. It always worked well. And then the New Age Outlaws kind of underestimating them and then kind of paying the price. It was good storytelling. So I think this is definitely when the show picked up a little bit. Chris Jericho match and this match really started making the show feel a little bit better because before that it was kind of a meh show.
Mm-hmm. Next up is a singles match for the WWF Championship. You have the Big Show, who is the champion here, getting a win over the Big Boss Man with Prince Albert. Only 3:15 was the time on this one, which is kind of really short for a championship match, but they had a lot of story going on here with the which is probably you couldn't get away with this type of storyline today with the whole Big Show father and Big Bossman crashing the funeral, and they had that whole segment in the cemetery there.
When he was holding onto the casket, getting dragged through the cemetery.
Yeah.
As our buddy Roland would say, that was one of the funniest parts of it was just hanging on to his dead father's coffin, getting thrown around in the ring.
Yep.
Throw around the graveyard. And it was a squash match. It was really weird. They had this big rivalry, and this big setup, and was just a quick. I felt like it took longer for them to come to the ring than the actual match.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to dissect here because it was so short. And it kind of, when you do that, it kind of just devalues the championship a little bit, I think. And I could see it being short if there wasn't a storyline, but they had a story. And so, yeah, it was just kind of weird that it was so short.
And I kind of feel, because I feel like it devalued his run, because I almost forgot Big Show was champion at this point in time. So I feel like it kind of devalued his run a little bit. He looked good too. I mean, this is, Big Show, right after he left WCW as the Giant, still the long hair, he looked leaner, than he looked a few years later, because as, he's well said on many podcasts and interviews, he obviously struggled with going up and down, with his weight, but he looked good. He looked in good shape, and he comes out and just kind of squashes his boss man, and it just was almost deflating, I think, to the whole match and the whole run, and then Prince Albert being there, it's just kind of weird. Prince Albert was another character they just didn't know what to do with after his tattoo artist gimmick didn't really take off. And now he's like the head NXT trainer.
Yeah.
So, what a weird world we live in.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, it is time for our main event. It's a no-holds-barred match. Here's the thing. If Triple H wins, he becomes the number one contender for the WWF Championship. If Vince wins, Triple H and Stephanie would have to receive an annulment.
Wrestling.
That's wrestling. That's what I was just about to say. That's wrestling for you. Triple H is going to go over here, defeats Mr. McMahon in 28 minutes. I was really entertained by this one. I'm a big Triple H fan and a big Mr. McMahon fan, so I was really entertained by this one. I got to give kudos to Vince for going 28 minutes here. He's 53, I believe, at this point.
In Florida, rocking a thick sweater and thick sweatpants, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I thought the match was fun. I'm a big Mr. McMahon. He's a great heel character. Triple H, always great. I love that this is his retro music when he first started becoming the game. He first started finding his identity. And no pants Triple H on this one. Not that he wasn't wearing pants, but as we talked about last time, we were disappointed seeing him wear pants. This is when he started going to his classic tights that he wears now.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought this was a good match. Vince got more offense than I thought he would, because I didn't really remember every little nitty-gritty of the match. Obviously, I remember the main important parts, but Vince getting some good shots in when they're outside the ring. The brawling around the arena was fun. I think that's what helps. They didn't keep it pure wrestling to kind of help, which was fun. The parking lot spots, that was hilarious. That they ain't get that money back with that Buick. Let me just tell you, they destroyed that door.
Yeah.
And chasing him down, and Vince, like you said, for being 50-something years old, jumping over that guardrail pretty quick. That was pretty well done.
Yeah, I thought so too. The finish, Stephanie was at ringside the whole time. Triple H is Vince is about to hit Triple H with the sledgehammer. Stephanie comes into the ring, tells us, "I want to do it," and she goes to do it, and then Triple H counters, hits Vince with the sledgehammer, gets the 1, 2, 3, and there's a spot where it looks like Triple H is gonna hit Stephanie. Stephanie turns around and then just gives her this grin, and they start to hug and embrace, and it's a big swerve, and Stephanie, and this is the beginning of the McMahon and Helmsley era.
I remember, being 13 years old watching this and seeing that, oh my God, he's gonna hit Stephanie, what's going on, and then just seeing that smile, I'm like, what is going on? This is probably one of the first times in wrestling that I can remember that I was generally swerved, because I tried not to read the dirt sheets when I was a kid, or tried not to, because I didn't like to be spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
So it was nice to see a genuine, like, holy crap, Stephanie just turned heel, and what's going on? And then, the next night on Raw, like you said, they talked about welcome to the McMahon Helmsley era. So it was great, because it was a good heel run for both of them, and it really established Triple H as a star. This was a smart decision, I think, to get Triple H over, to get him that heel heat, to become that third guy that they needed, that second guy they needed, because unfortunately Triple H and Jericho's careers were really overshadowed by The Rock and Stone Cold in the first 99 to 2002, 2003 era. So this was kind of good with Steve's unfortunate absence to really build up Triple H and really build up Jericho. Man, they really built up Triple H. I mean, they were kind of teasing it years before with the King of the Ring and some of the other matches, but as we all know, the Click send-off Madison Square Garden kind of squashed that push. So this was nice to kind of see, okay, they're going to let Triple H. They're giving him the green light. They're letting him run with it. I loved it.
Yeah.
To this day, it holds well. So if you watch one match from this pay-per-view, watch this match.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And I just want to make a quick note. I want to give Stephanie some credit, too. Like, her facial expressions throughout the whole match were excellent. She really sold it well. And she's new to the wrestling game at this point.
Yeah, I believe she was fresh out of college at this point.
Yeah.
So she had just started. Yeah, the pain on her face when Triple H is going over there, like, I'll be your daddy now. And just the disgust on her face, she sold it perfectly.
Absolutely. Yeah, but like you said, this was the one match I would recommend if you just had to choose one. I'm probably going to give this probably a 6.5, 7 rating for the whole pay-per-view because, like you said, it was kind of a meh pay-per-view, to quote you, in the beginning. I think, it kind of picked up a little bit with Triple H China, but then you had a little bit in the Rock and Sock New Age Outlaws match. Then it kind of went back down with the Big Boss Man and Big Show match, but I think it ended on a really strong note.
I agree. I would definitely give it a 6 or 7 out of 10 as well, just because that main event made it fun. If you took out the Big Show match, pretty much from Jericho all the way to the main event was fun. And I think that's what I love about WWF pay-per-views when we rewatch some of these is they did make it fun. Sometimes they started out slow and they picked up steam. And I think that's always their plan, of save the best for last mentality. But I mean, that match was just fun. Even Vince taking that crazy fall off the tower, it's like 30-something feet. That was crazy. Him falling off the stage in the beginning of the match, it was fun, and it told a good story. And that's the big thing. Pay-per-view should always tell a good story. It should never just be a blow-off. Mm-hmm. So it was nice that this set up, WrestleMania season because a month later we have the Royal Rumble leading into WrestleMania season. So this was good to kind of get ready to set up WrestleMania 16. Everything. It was well done, well received. I just really wish Big Show had a better match. That's probably my only complaint in the last few matches is Big Show just had a squash match. But other than that, it was a solid show.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is our rundown of Armageddon 1999. Coming up for you next week, we're going to stick with the 1999 pay-per-views, but we're going to go to WCW, and we're going to talk about Starrcade 1999. This is most notably for pretty much the end of Bret Hart's career. He had the infamous match with Goldberg here, so looking forward to watching that one. I'm a big fan of, going back to these WCW shows, so looking forward to watching it and dissecting that one for you guys next week.
I can't wait, and I really hope that it kind of lives up to the hype that I have in mind, because I actually watched this, the one I watched at Roland's house. This is the pay-per-view we watched together, because I'm pretty sure this is the one that Tyler cut out, and we had to wait the next day to rewatch it.
So that is coming up for you guys next week. That is Starrcade 1999. We will be back same time, same place next Saturday at 5. Everybody take care, and we'll see you guys next week. Until then, I'm Tim Kurt, and this is Wrestling with Wrestling Past and Present.
I hope you're all having a nice day.